Do you remember Anthony Clare as a student?
I do, yes.
What do you remember of him?
I remember him as being a really formidable debater, very friendly, very keen to help in Gonzaga in whatever way. Very, very nice man. Now, other people mightn't have found him so nice, but I found him delightful. And he was very helpful. I was editor of studies, and he was very, very helpful in that regard.
This was when he was an adult, grown man?
When he was a grown man, yes.
Right.
As a boy, I didn't know him at all. He had left by the time I came in 1961. But he was a great friend of the Father Eddie Keane and Eddie Keane's family. And that was saying a lot for him and for the Keanes. Father Eddie Keane was one of those very brilliant fellows, but he hadn't the aura of Joe Veal. So I think he was smarter than Joe. But I said somewhere, but no one could match his high seriousness. He expressed views that Eddie Keane wouldn't express. But he'd live them out. And so would Joe, of course. But Eddie Keane was one of those very, very bright fellows.
Another titan of Gonzaga was Father Joe Brennan.
Oh, yes.
So you remember him when he was in school?
I do indeed.
So not many people could say that.
I was in first year and he was in sixth year, and he was a type of god to us. He was captain of the school, and I think he was vice captain of rugby. He was a star in the opera, and he played on the Leinster rugby team. So he was really the star of that year, and the nicest of fellows. A bit pedantic in certain ways, but really true gold. And I don't think he'd ever have an enemy as a schoolboy. He was really much loved by everyone. And I often thought it was ironic in the opera that year where he did very, very well. He was a horrid creature called Shadbolt, the very antithesis to Joe Brennan in real life.
That was his shadow.
Exactly, absolutely. Then he went into university and he did history. And generally, for some reason, they didn't have a high opinion of him. But he got first. He left all the others who did very distinguished careers in history and in journalism and in radio and all the rest. But Joe got first. And he didn't go in academically in history. And I think it was really that Joe wasn't top class academic, stuck to him.
Say that again.
He went I think the reputation that, Joe isn't a real academic, he's a decent fellow. I think that image stuck.
Even though he was top of the class?
Even though he was top of the class and beat people who became professors of history and became leading journalists, and one of them a Chief Justice.
And what do you think was the legacy of his career? Is there a better way to put that career? But his time working and serving. What's the main thing that came of that?
Well, I think that again, he was considered a solid fellow. He'd be a good teacher. He'd take no nonsense, and he'd be very kind to everyone. But they never emphasized his academic achievements.
So he was very humble.
Oh, very, absolutely. Absolutely. And he could be exasperating, that's true, by being almost too good. But I didn't realize when I knew him in the society first that he had such an illustrious career in the university. I just took it for granted. Joe Brennan is a decent fellow.
He was an excellent musician as well.
Oh, excellent. I mean, he was almost concert standard. Oh, yes. But somewhere or other, he never really was revered for that aspect of his career or his character and temperament and ability. It was a shame